Another winning week on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast in the week just gone by. We're looking to add to that again this week, but we are on turf looking at Grade 1 action in the Sword Dancer Stakes. Luke Elder, as always, alongside Tom Collins. I think that's 3 winning weeks in a row.
Your knowledge is better than mine, as I cannot remember. But very well done to you, because you put up Sierra Leone. I didn't like Sierra Leone really in the Whitney, but you called the race perfectly. Well, we both did with the pacemaking angle. I thought Fierceness actually had it in the bag, turning for home. He was the one that was travelling, and it looked like to me he was just going to power on and go clear, but maybe he's not the horse of old. That was a weak finishing effort, and it kind of allowed Sierra Leone into the picture, and he ended up running out a very easy winner in the end.
Yeah, Fierceness did what Fierceness does, and he rather tapped out at the end of things, and that was that. But I think I should get double points for tipping Sierra Leone when he wins.
Yeah, that's twice as well, I think, on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast.
Yeah, I think he beat Fierceness both times, right?
He has, yeah.
He has. So, note for the future. When Fierceness is against Sierra Leone, it's only going to go one way. But we're going into the Sword Dancer Stakes. And also, I don't know if we've mentioned, Tom, we're on the road to 1,000. But,
Oh, we're
like,
so close.
we can, like, the petrol light's getting empty in the car a little bit, but we can see the petrol station or the gas station up top. It's just on the left. I can see it. The lights are illuminating. We're 11 away. We're 11 away,
Yeah.
Tom.
We just need a couple more people to click that button and get us over the line. And hopefully, you guys watching this right now will do it. It costs you nothing. It takes 1 second. Just whack subscribe down below. Plus, we keep tipping up winners, so why wouldn't you want to subscribe?
Absolutely. Albeit Tom did say a couple more people, technically 11, but
Yeah.
that's a few couples.
A big couple, yeah.
Yeah, a few couples and a half is what we'll say. But we're 11 away right now from the goal of 1,000 subscribers. But let's take a look at the Sword Dancer Stakes, because look, it's a competitive race on turf. We once again, Tom, we've got UK interest going over towards the US, and just about for the first time this year, it's Charlie Appleby and William Buick interest.
Yeah, two Charlie Appley runners in this race. So it's double interest, really. William, obviously, on one of them. We'll talk about the horses individually in a second, as we always do. But it is always great to have the Europeans over there. It's worth noting that Alice Haynes also has a runner in the US on Saturday. I think she runs Cairo in the Arlington Million. That was the other race that was up for debate as a race of topic for us. But we ended up going with the Sword Dancer. Obviously, it's Saratoga. It's a race where many people will want to watch. And actually, it's a really interesting contest with a strange pace dynamic.
Just by making a noise, just we're not covering the race, how much of a chance has Cairo got? Just by making a noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. How much of a chance has integration got?
Yeah.
Hey! Right. So that is the Arlington Million covered. Let's take a look at the Sword Dancer. We have got an international market out, which always helps. Nation's Pride 11-4, Far Bridge 3-1, El Rezeen at 6-1, Utah Beach 13-2, El Cordobes at 7-1, Rebel Red 10s, Vote No 14-1, 16-1 Grand Sonata, and Padiddle is 20-1. Again, we're getting used to saying this, Tom, but not many notes on that.
No, that's a better market for sure. Maybe I would change a couple of them around, but look, it's going to be a wide open race. I think both Nations Pride and Farbridge will actually go off shorter than the 5-2 and 3-1. I think you quoted there. So the top end of the market may actually get a little bit stronger. The back end of the market will probably get weaker because it is hard to make a case for some of the rags in here. But it's an interesting contest, as I say, not only from the competitive nature, but also from the pace, because where is the front runner in this race, Luke?
Maybe Farbridge.
Maybe Nation's Pride. They're the only two horses that actually have gone forward in the past, right? So it could be the two market leaders vying to steal the race from the outset.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things, by the way. Dolly, my dog, has made her weekly appearance. So
Nice.
well done to Dolly. That's becoming a weekly thing now. She just has a walk. She stretches in that doorway. And she's like, okay, that's me done. And secondly, if my microphone's weird this week, I'm sorry. Microphone problems. We're moving on. We're still doing it.
Yeah.
Let's start with Nation's Pride, Tom, because I've completely lost the running order. So we're going to do this way.
Yeah.
On last year's form and his old form, he'd have a real solid chance. But his last few efforts have really been quite worrying for me.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're sharing the same opinion here. We haven't actually discussed this. As per usual, we don't really talk about the race prior to filming the podcast, except for putting our selections in our WhatsApp group. So, yeah, we share the same opinion on Nation's Pride. If you go back through his CV, he has the best CV of all. He's 11 from 22 in his career. He's amassed almost $4 million in prize money. He's 4 from 9 in the US and Canada, so there's no problem with shipping over to North America, which you may usually think is an issue for these European runners. Nothing wrong with that with him. He can always perform straight off the plane. He has been just a little bit poor recently. The topography of Saratoga is absolutely fine, and he's won here before. But his last 4 runs, 3 of them have been pretty dire for Nation's Pride standards. That run in Bahrain was shocking. Maidan, poor. Gulfstream, terrible. I don't really know if I can trust him anymore. Now, the question is, will he go to the front? Will William Buick try to take this race by the horns, go straight to the front and dominate? Because if he does, then his price at 5-2 would look very appealing. The likelihood is he would run his race if he's able to go to the front and kick on. But I think Farbridge may have that tactical speed edge over him. So William may have to take that seat in second. And if Nation's Pride doesn't produce that finishing kick that we know he's got, well, I can't have him as favourite in here at all.
No, 11-4, so slightly a little bit bigger than the 5-2. But he's a very talented horse at his best. I'm going to say something that's probably a little bit harsh. When he's at his best, is his American form really that good anyway? Like,
Probably not.
no, I think at their very best, Farbridge is a better horse than Nation's Pride. Honestly, there's not much in it. Like, we're not talking about one horse being a stone better than the other. But I mean, the Arlington Million form is pretty ordinary. I know Integration was second, and he'll probably win the Arlington Million this weekend. But Integration is a much better horse this year than he was 12 months ago. Ancient Rome was back in third. He's running in handicaps now in England. The form in the Manhattan when he got beat by measured time, he wasn't even the choice of William Buick in that race. So he does concern me a little bit for all that. I still think he is probably the second best horse in this race, and I think he's behind Farbridge on the class aspect. Now, look, Farbridge is a horse who he's had plenty of people, including us, knock him at times in his career because he's done lots wrong. However, the older he gets, the better he seems to get.
Yeah, he won this race 12 months ago, so he is the reigning champion of the sword dancer. And it seems like he is now putting races together in a string, as you're kind of hinting at just there. To be fair, when he was launching his racing career, he was a very promising young horse, but it was maybe like a mentality issue with him where he'd hang to the left, he wouldn't perform if he was wide on the track, he had to be ridden next to the fence. There was lots of little tiny pieces of Farbridge that weren't really coming together and producing that full end product. Subsequently, as in the last year or so, he's developing and he seems to be a more reliable animal. He has that tactical speed. We saw him steal a race off the front last year. It's very plausible that he could do it again in this spot. I like his draw just outside Nation's Pride in this race. And there is a lot to like about Farbridge. That recent victory, which came in the
Bowling Green.
Bowling Green. Yeah, he beat El Rezeen and he absolutely smashed him. There were no excuses for El Rezeen in that contest. El Rezeen is relatively high up in the market for this race. Farbridge is just way better horse. And what is interesting as well is that Miguel Clement, who has obviously taken over from his father, Christophe, since his passing, he seems to have improved these horses, or he's placing them better, or the horses are just progressing naturally. I'm not too sure, but Deterministic won a grade one last week. Deterministic won a grade one in the Manhattan. Miguel seems to be having a lot of success, and Farbridge is another horse that seems to be taking a step forward under his tutelage.
Yeah, fascinated to see how he gets on for the rest of the year because if Farbridge does continue on this trajectory, he'll be a contender in something like a Breeders' Cup turf, albeit this year the European contingent looks to be ridiculously strong. Calandagan possibly coming over, Rebels Romance will be coming over once set again. So, yes, it's nice beating Nation's Pride, but he'll have to go and do it against much better opposition. I know we say this every time we talk about Farbridge, but can you imagine being the connections of Fort Wilderness on debut at Gulfstream Park and bumping into Farbridge and Carl Spackler in a maiden special weight?
Yeah, that's rough, isn't it? That was a very, very hot maiden.
Legit, imagine going, like, yeah, we quite like our horse. We think we got. Oh no, no, we've got no chance whatsoever. We're bumping into two genuine Grade One horses at
Yeah,
Gulfstream Park.
yeah.
Look, it was unfortunate for that day, but Farbridge, I think he's going to have a strong chance in here. You say, regards to El Razine, who's third in the market, no excuses last time. He was carried wide off the final bend, but it didn't cost him. It maybe cost him half a length or so. It didn't cost him position. He wouldn't have beaten Farbridge. He travelled quite nicely into the contest, but he's a hold-up horse in a race with no pace, and he's not as good as the first two.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I don't actually have much more to add apart from he's a typical top pletcher improver that gets better with age and also distance. Last time, as you said, he was a little bit pace compromised, but he's going to be pace compromised in this race as well because there is no early speed and he is likely to be right towards the back of the field. And yeah, he was carried a touch wide, but Farbridge just was away and gone and was eased down at the end to win by a wide margin. I don't see Rezeen contesting the finish here from a win perspective. Maybe he'll run on past tired horses for a place, but I can't have him at the price.
No, I'm exactly the same. El Cordobes obviously is a horse who will attract interest from the UK. Is 7-1 currently in the international market. Won the Princess of Wales's last time around. That wasn't a fantastic race. Wimbledon Hawkeye, the second, is a useful horse over in England as a 3-year-old, but I think this is an odd horse, honestly, to bring over to America. He doesn't have the tactical speed. He's more of a staying type, and I, honestly, a little part of my brain before I saw Flavion Pratt was on him was thinking, well, maybe he's here to make the pace for Nations Pride.
Yeah, I thought that as well. There was a possibility, but I don't see it with Pratt on board. Despite the fact he is drawn inside, he just seems a bit slow, doesn't he? Is he just
Yeah.
very one-paced, a bit of a plodder? I suppose he's an interesting contender purely because he does remain unexposed after around 9 starts. He's never run in the US before, so maybe he'll take to the firm turf a bit better. But yeah, he's got a lot to do on form, and I just don't think he's going to have the early speed to get into a position, even in a race like this where there is no out-and-out front runner in the field. I still think he's going to be towards the back in the early part, unless Flavian really gets down to business within the first furlong to hold that rail spot. And what's more, I understand that Flavian Pratt is a brilliant jockey, and we are fans of him. But at the same time, he's ridden 5 times with Charlie Appleby. He's 0 from 5. So as much as the booking is intriguing, he's not exactly had success with this trainer in the past.
No, he's I think he's up against it on El Cordobas as well. Utah Beach is currently 13-2. A horse who his recent form has been fine for the level that he's been running at. He managed to win the Louisville Stakes at Grade 3 2 starts ago. At Churchill last time around, he ran quite flat behind Rebel Red, but I'd be shocked if he were winning this.
Yeah, he again is very slow horse. I actually think he's best suited to 2 miles, but there isn't exactly a very good 2 mile program for a horse like Utah Beach. There is a race at Gulfstream in December, which he will probably go very close in, but that is a long way off, and it is unlikely that I'll even remember about that race by the time it comes around. He is generally running in these 1.5 mile races because that is the only spot that he can compete in. That race behind Rebel Red, no real excuses. I suppose he was short of him in the home straight, but Rebel Red had his number anyway. And actually, I wouldn't have Utah Beach over Rebel Red. I presume he's shorter in the market, right, for this race. And if you were to give me a match bet between the two, I'd be taking Rebel Red all day.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Rebel Red's 10-1, Utah Beach is 13-2. Obviously, Rebel Red ran in the United Nations last time behind redistricting, but even in that, was behind Grand Sonata.
Yeah, exactly. The form kind of ties in with all of these horses that are behind the market leaders. What I will say about that race last time from Rebel Red is that the ride was absolutely terrible, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to see it necessarily on paper. But this horse only has one eye. He doesn't like being boxed in because of that. He cannot see to his left side, I believe. And Luis Saez, who was riding for the first time, got the horse in between horses going around the first turn. It was so stupid. I don't understand why he did it. If you ever watch Jose Ortiz on this horse, he's always situated wide purely because he doesn't want to be boxed in. Louis went between horses. The horse didn't like it. He started backpedaling. Louis then asked for effort down the back straight because he felt like the horse wasn't producing for obvious reasons. Used to tank up too early, and then he had nothing for the home straight. I think Rebel Red's a lot better than what we saw last time, but equally, I don't think he's good enough to beat the market leaders here. And also, he's going to come from out of the back, and again, he's going to be pace compromised.
Yeah, exactly. I think, honestly, on paper, this looks like a really easy race to work out. And I'm fairly confident we kind of have worked it out. But obviously, you have to load the horses into the gate to get the result. But is there anything else that you wanted to mention? Just in things? 'Cause we sort of alluded to everything almost.
Yeah, I'll just briefly give a word on the three outsiders. Vote knows best runs have come at much lower levels. Again, it would take a tough kind of ask to see him go close in this race. Grand Sonata, we've said, has got form that ties in with the likes of Rebel Red. The only races that Grand Sonata ever seems to win is when there's some speed up top. Grand Sonata is in that stalking role on the rail, usually at Monmouth, and he's able to scoot up the inside and win because he's had the ideal trip. He won't get that in here because he's drawn wide. Therefore, I can't have him. And the only other horse that we haven't talked about is Padiddle, who's 1 from 12 in the career, ran in a non-winners of 2 last time and couldn't even win that. I don't understand why they keep pitching this horse in tough races. It is ludicrous. They keep running him in graded stakes. Get him in a non-winners of 2, move up the conditions, and then run in this race if he's good enough. But yeah, it seems weird that he's in this contest. The outsiders are not for me, Luke.
Yeah, the problem with Padiddle is you want him to just run really badly in one of these races. But he
Yeah.
doesn't, to be fair to him. He runs well every time. Third in the Pan Am. He was third in the Man of War. It was just, yeah, he's his own worst enemy, effectively, Padiddle. Just run a shocker, mate. Go back down in grade, win a race, then come back with a little bit of confidence. But Padiddle, one of the biggest prices on the board, in fact, the biggest at 20 to 1. So, I mean, honestly, if you haven't worked out who the selection is, you haven't been listening all that well. But Tom, we haven't done it in a while, have we?
Go on.
It's time to join play.
I like that. I was going to attempt it today, but my voice, as you can probably tell, is not standing up to business. So I'm glad you did it.
You've got a long day of broadcasting, my friend.
I have. I need to get some more liquid down me. That is, it's a bit worrying. I have to admit.
Tom started off this podcast by getting his drink and going everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. We are both with Farbridge, 3 to 1 in the market. Look, Tom, the setup of the race looks absolutely ideal. Honestly, I only think there's one danger in the race, and that's if Nation Pride comes back to a bit of form. I think, as you sort of alluded to at the top of the show, I think they're both too big in the market. I think 3 to 1's a great price, Farbridge.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's between the top 2 in the market. I think they'll both go off shorter, maybe vying for 7 to 4 favouritism at the time of the off, but we'll see how the market plays out. I'm willing to take that 3 to 1 on Farbridge for sure. What I would like to see is Joao Rosario taking this race, going straight to the front, grabbing the rail, which is a big positive for Farbridge anyway, and hopefully kicking off the front. We know he can do it. This horse has won from the front before. Virtually no other horse in this race has, apart from Nation's Pride, who won a Group 1 in Munich off the lead. So just take the race by the horns, Joel. Go straight to the front. If Farbridge goes around that first turn in front and they're crawling, I don't see anyone passing him.
No, I completely agree. I think Farbridge is going to be the best in here. How do you feel about the reverse forecast Farbridge and Nation's Pride, just in case Nation's Pride does turn up?
Yeah, look, I'm not a forecast player, as you'll know, and probably everyone else will too. But I can see it. You know, if you can get fixed odds forecasts, so the current prices, then I absolutely would be interested in that. It'd be interesting to see what the SPs are, because close to the off, as we're hinting at, it's probably going to be shorter price on each of these horses, and then the forecast may not be worth it. There is a chance the Nation's Pride does beat him. He did actually beat him in the Manhattan last year. I think they were second and third, but even then, I thought Farbridge was the best horse out of those two and just wasn't able to produce. So, yeah, I'll probably leave it. I'll probably just play the single, but I can certainly see the case.
Yeah, Farbridge, the play for both myself and Tom. That is the sword dancer done. Hopefully you'll make it, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's 4 weeks straight with a winner. It's just, there's so many winners, Tom, we just lose count.
Yeah, I mean, if we go throughout the whole year, which I probably should do, I have been keeping the P&L up to date, but I keep forgetting because I've got so many P&Ls on the go. But if I go through the whole year, I think we've had significant success where it's like 75 to 80% of races in 2025 that we've called right. Hopefully we can extend the streak to 4. Obviously we had a loser 4 back. But yeah, I'm pretty confident with this race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the podcast is in profit, and somehow, which is even more impressive, both of us are in profit as well.
Yeah, and it's not just on racing either, NFL too. And there is a new NFL video coming out this week, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. So definitely look at that as well for winning bets.
Absolutely. That is a look at the Sword Dancer Stakes, our latest horse racing action on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Please do subscribe, leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We are 11 away at the moment. Leave your thoughts on who you think will win the Sword Dancer. But from myself and Tom, go watch our NFL content on our channel. We are a month away from the season getting underway. But until we next get to see you guys, stay safe, look after another. Goodbye.